Hey there, it's Nick with Community Benchmark and Tasting Room Managers. This one's for you. We're going to dig into some of the trends and basic benchmarks this year to date. And if you're a Community Benchmark member, feel free to pull up your own account and follow along at home. All right, as we get started, we want to make sure we're looking at the right comp set. So, members, it's going to default to your region. You can narrow that down by neighborhood. You may want to opt for your custom cohort, or if you have the filters active, you can narrow, slice, and dice by visitation, production size, etc. But for today's conversation, we're going to zoom out and look at trends for the entire West Coast community, which is just over 450 wineries. All right. So as we dig in, I want to point out that the comp set will change depending on how we use the filters, but it's always going to show the average of the group. The ratio for our members will show if you're above or below this average. And the true trend is our innovation that's showing relative growth. So are we growing faster than or not? Okay. So this top table, especially for our members, is a little bit more of a sense of place, saying, hey, are we above or below the community average? Right? Turns out we're above 13%. And we have this basic calculation of that's by how many guests we're seeing, how many of them are buying, and what that average spend looks like, right? So for our fictitious winery, we're seeing 36% more than this 1,100 guests per year. We're converting less, and our average spend is less, right? So for a lot of wineries, sure, we want to know if we're above or below average, but really what we want to know is as the pie gets bigger or smaller, how's our slice holding up? So that's where this second table, and color coded for your convenience, comes into play, right? So year over year, tasting room sales have grown 5%. Our fictitious winery follows that trend. So we got a nice gray true trend here. We can see in the last 2 years, year to date, tasting rooms have grown almost 80%. Right? And sure, that's a big bounce back in visitation. Conversion rates really haven't changed, but also the average spend has gone up almost 25%. Right? So there's some good markers for you. And then if we want to get a little bit more, we'll call it month to month view, right? The tables are a little bit larger window. We can come up here to our table and look at the month to month view of tasting room sales. And we can see that there was a high in May, and that's just about 90,000, and another high in October. We can see that's going to correlate pretty heavily with visitation and something like average spend. We can see that that average spend is notably higher the last few months compared to the beginning of the year. So again, some basic benchmarks for y'all. Hope you found it helpful. Would love feedback either which way. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.